Hi guys, welcome back. So in this lesson we're going to have a go at the Lasgo iconic sounding bass line, but just before we do that, as mentioned in the previous lesson, we just want to EQ this kick very quickly. Just want to change the colour, make that yellow, then I'll have my synths pink, something like that. Right, let's have a look at this kick. I normally end up EQing my kicks just to make them sound a little bit beefier. Let's have a listen. Yeah, it sounds a little bit hollow and not quite beefy enough. So what I do on a lot of my kicks, not every single one obviously, but I normally just boost the 50 Hertz range or so with a narrow Q. So just bring this down here. Not a lot, maybe 3 dB at the most. Maybe a touch more, 3.5 dB, you can type it in there. 50 Hertz just seems to be around that magic sort of frequency that tends to boost things in the sub region and makes it sound kind of warm and nice. And I normally take out around about 200 or so, not every single time, of course it depends on the sample, but generally speaking 200 to 300 Hertz, I normally do something around there. And let's just do before and after. So without EQ, with, just sounds better, just sounds more whole, less boxy, a bit more beef, and sometimes add a bit of click as well. So we'll just change this to parametric from a hide shelf, so parametric. So you can add a little bit of air or click if you want to. Again, just adjusting the frequency band, whether it's narrow or wide here. So let's before and after EQ. So this is without EQ. With. Before. Sounds a bit boxy and sort of nothing really much going on with it. That sounds a lot nicer. Lovely. I probably just want to reduce these synths again, but rather than using the volume here this time, which is a little bit fiddly, in the new Cubase we've got another channel slot down the side here. Just switch it on over here, up top here, and you can use the fader here. So upper left. Something like that. Okay, so the bass line. Let's add 3 instrument tracks because it's going to be 3 layers, the bass line. It's going to have a sub layer, a mid layer, and a depth layer. So we can just do 3 instrument tracks of Vital. And here they are. Let's add the MIDI. So go to wherever your MIDI is in your download. And just refresh the MIDI folder. There we go. So we've got Lasgo Bass 1. Lasgo mid-depth bass. Show you what all these do in a sec. Lasgo sub. So 3 layers, sub layer, obviously filling out the bottom end, a mid layer and a depth layer. So all on different tracks. So we've got more control. Let's load up the presets. Obviously go to open external preset, or if you've already imported them, just go to browse. The Lasgo Bass 1. We'll have a look at these in a minute as well. That was that one. The Vital 2 is going to be mid-depth bass. And number 3, the sub. Let's have a listen first of all. Okay, very loud. Put these all down for starters and we'll balance them as we go. use the kick as reference. Okay, so we've got Lasgo Bass 1 for want of a better description. So that's the 2 notes off beat, which is classic Lasgo. But you can't just have that, it's just a bit bland, it's just a bit empty, so you need to thicken it up with other things. So here's the mid-depth bass, just to give it some extra character. About there, I think. And we've got the sub bass, which is right here. So if you turn it off, you'll really hear it missing. So without that sub, you're really not going to have a very good sounding production. It's going to sound really weak. So I'll turn it on in a sec. And off. And on. It's quite noticeable now. And it's great that we've got them on separate tracks. Like I say, we've got full control over EQ, compression, volume, full control over each part of this bass line. Turn them purple. And let's just have a listen, take off the solo. I think they're all a bit loud, so let's just highlight them all. Just do a quick link and we'll turn these down all together. Now, depending on the quality of your speakers or your headphones, the sub you would need to get a second opinion on probably, because sometimes, if you really pump it up, but your speakers or headphones are not really up to the job, you're then pushing it up when you don't need to. So it's always best to check that on another system. Okay, so we're in roughly the right ballpark there in terms of balance. Let's just have a quick look at how these sounds are made up. So Lasgo Bass 1. So a lot of these presets, by the way, I looked in the actual, the library that comes with Vital and chose a preset that was fairly close to what I wanted rather than start from scratch. You can start from scratch, but obviously that's going to take you a lot longer. So what I do is I try and find a preset which is in the ballpark and then I adapt it how I wish. So with this one, you can change the sound, the chorus and the reverb and the unison, the thickness of it if you want to, on the side here with these macros. So it gives it a thicker sound with the chorus, for example. More reverb with space. And these are linked to, for example, the reverb mix here is linked to the macro and etc. Obviously on a bass you don't want too much reverb going on. You don't want the low end sort of all swishing around like that. Cause a havoc with your mix, but a tiny bit is okay. And unison is just going to sort of thicken it a little bit. But we've got 2 other layers to consider, so don't go crazy. This is the sort of trance sounding mid-depth bass. Perhaps the delay is a touch too much. And then we've got the sub, and that was made up, by the way, of literally just a saw wave. Lasgo Bass 1 was made up of a square and a converted saw. And the sub is, as you'd expect, sort of a sine wave mixed in with a saw. So one more check. Okay, so with that bass line now in there and that riff, I think it is really starting to sound Lasgo-y already. By the way, if you want to learn how to program Vital and use it yourself, i.e. make patches yourself, then have a little look on our website. Just go to borntoproduce.com and have a look at under tutorials and then free Vital tutorials. And there's a load of free lessons there taking you through how to make sounds from scratch, which is why we don't do it in these tutorials, because the lessons will just go on forever and not everyone wants to do that. They just want to get on with the sound and get on with making the track. So have a little look through there if you wish. So the track is coming along nicely. Let's just add some folder tracks quickly for our drums, synths and bass. This is just so we can keep things nice and clear as we go. Chuck them in and we can just close these folders. This is going to be useful later on when we've got loads and loads of tracks. Same for the bass. And later on we'll start grouping things as well. But I hope that's interesting for you so far. We are starting to sound quite Lasgo, and let's carry on with it in the next lesson. All the best, guys. Bye-bye.